So here's something interesting that's apparently going on behind closed doors with the incoming Trump administration. CNN reports Trump border czar privately tempers Republican lawmaker expectations on administration's initial deportation operation. Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, has privately told Republican lawmakers to temper their expectations for the incoming administration's initial deportation operation, citing limited resources according to multiple sources involved in the conversation. While Trump's allies have floated measures to detain and deport people residing in the U.S. illegally, the plans largely depend on the resources and funds available to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which historically has had budget shortfalls. Well, I did not know that they had budget shortfalls historically, but I do know that in Trump's first term, he didn't do everything that he said he was going to do with regard to the border. Obviously, he talked about a border wall being built that Mexico would pay for, and that hasn't exactly happened yet. But he has a second term, fortunately for him, so he gets to go and see if he can complete the job. But now, his boy Tom Homan is out there really talking the talk about mass deportations, really acting self-righteous about it, like, yes, we have to carry out these deportations, we have to get these people out of here. Threatening to jail even mayors who disagree with him and who don't comply with his deportation plans. So he's a hawk. He's a hawk on immigration. Right-wingers really love him. Left-wingers are really concerned about him. But here he is behind closed doors saying to Republican lawmakers, hey, this might not totally be possible. We will have some roadblocks that we'll have to deal with, and we don't know how big they're going to be, but we've identified some problems here. The discussions are part of a broader level setting that is occurring among House Republicans who are now coming to terms with the challenges of turning one of their key campaign promises into a reality. Republicans are also grappling with the harsh realization that most of their border overhaul measures are unlikely to be included in Trump's massive agenda bill, given the strict rules around the reconciliation process that require proposals to either increase revenue or reduce spending, not change policy. Quote, many members are only now beginning to understand that, one GOP lawmaker told CNN. Trump has vowed to launch the largest deportation program in history, telling Time magazine in December he believes that there will be probably 15 and maybe as many as 20 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S. by the time he takes office. In recent meetings with House Republicans, Homan, a veteran of immigration enforcement, has outlined a tiered approach to Trump's mass deportation pledge, according to lawmakers and sources involved in the discussions. Homan and lawmakers are using current government funding levels to craft a plan that targets between 1 and 2 million undocumented immigrants who are eligible for removal as quickly as possible, according to multiple sources in the discussions. There are currently about 1.4 million people in the U.S. with final immigration orders of removal. So, quote, Homan has been telling some of the members that, hey, if you want me to do all these things you're talking about, this costs money, and it's not being done with the CR that's in place now, one GOP lawmaker told CNN, referring to the continuing budget resolution that simply extends the current level of DHS funding. This is interesting, and it was kind of interesting hearing there that Homan was saying, they want me to do this, the lawmakers, but yet in public he seems to be really intent on doing the deportations for his own sake, really. He doesn't even seem to talk about Trump all that much. He talks about, upholding law and order and getting the illegals out of this country. So really, interesting change of tune behind closed doors, I guess. I mean, it's not massive. I bet he still wants to go through with this, but a little bit of a difference there. Another GOP lawmaker whose committee oversees the Department of Homeland Security budget told CNN that Homan is trying to work as fast as the confines of the system allow. Quote, his message is not code talk for nothing is going to happen or we're going to slow down or whatever, but it is a responsible policy approach to getting stuff done quickly, but also in the context of realistic evaluation of how to best get that done and fulfill the promises that the incoming administration has made. GOP Representative Mark Amodai told CNN. Homan has repeatedly stressed that he remains focused on public safety and national security threats, but hasn't ruled out that others who are in the U.S. illegally but do not pose a safety threat could be swept up in deportations. It all depends on the funding I get from the Hill, Homan said on CNN's La Source. He wouldn't specify how many undocumented immigrants he hopes to see deported by the end of Trump's next 4 years in office. Okay, well, there you heard it from the horse's mouth on CNN. So I think that electorally, we have to keep this in mind. They're making big promises. Obviously, it's better for the country if they just stick to violent criminals and deporting those people, because those are the people that we don't want here. Those are the people who have harmed American citizens. If we're talking 20 million people, it's like, okay, that's a really inflated number. That's a massive amount of people. There are likely not 20 million violent criminals illegally in the United States. So, yeah, there's different levels of damages that can be done to our country as a result of different border policies, different deportation policies. But I can guarantee you this. Even if Tom Homan and Donald Trump end up deporting barely any illegal immigrants, the Republican base, the far right base who support Trump, they might criticize him just a little bit for it. They might notice, but they'll probably just go ahead and vote for the Republicans in 2026 and vote for J.D. Vance in 2028. They will stick with their cult leader. Sorry to say. Yeah, we're in this weird spot where it's like, okay, how much do we want them to succeed in their promises in order to help Democrats win in 2026 and 2028? Obviously, sometimes the more that they do, the more likely they are to damage the country, and the more they damage the country, the less likely they are to win. But then, you know, if they do more, they also please their base more, and it makes their base more likely to turn out. But I'm here to say that I think the base is going to turn out no matter what. They just are. They're not like the Democrats where they say, oh, well, they're not far left enough on some of these issues, so I'm not going to show up and vote for them. They're not progressive enough on economics. They're not non-interventionist enough on foreign policy, so I'm not going to vote for them. That's what the Democrats do. The Republicans, it's a different story. So I just thought it would be worth it to discuss the electoral ramifications of this going forward. Obviously, we're very early on in the process. It's fun to make a few predictions, though, you know what I mean? But yeah, that has been the gist of what I've come to understand of immigration and elections and how Trump may go forward with deportations. So we don't know how many people he's going to deport. We really don't. Time will tell. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, or subscribe to the channel, and I will speak to you in my next video.